Welcome to January 20th. It's a Monday, 2025. Well, hopefully everyone stayed warm over the weekend and you can get through some more severe cold today as a nationwide winter outbreak continues across the nation. Really, this is quite a remarkable outbreak of cold and winter weather, as you'll see here in a moment. As we discussed last week, we're going to continue in the West at bitter cold temperatures, bitter cold wind chills through today, tonight, and early tomorrow. It's just going to be extremely cold. Wind chill values, especially early in the day, will be severe. Now, we will see moderating temperatures in many areas Tuesday and Wednesday, but here's the catch. Rule of thumb, kind of like death and taxes, is that when Arctic air begins to retreat in the Intermountain West, when it starts to retreat to the plains, there's always a period of high wind. You just have a really big pressure gradient that forms along the divide, and this will cause blowing snow problems during the day Tuesday into Tuesday night, especially with the light powdery snow that's on the ground in many areas. This is especially true I-25 and Interstate 80 Tuesday and Tuesday night. We have a weak wave that'll come out of Canada, moving south, that will produce a little bit of light snow across portions of Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, and parts of Nebraska. It's not much of a system, but it will drop south, kind of just reinforcing the winter. Then another storm system will drop out of Canada into the western United States this weekend. So there's a lot going on. Now, we don't see a return of this extreme cold with these next two waves, but it's going to stay, well, very wintry. And we have lots of winter views from over the weekend as that Arctic wave came in, producing snow and mean-looking clouds like that. Bald eagle trying to stay warm there in Craig, Colorado, and fog forming over Lake McConaughey as it's freezing in the sub-zero temperatures. And of course, if you're a short-haired dog, you need a little help there with the footies and the jacket, and you're going to need that today. Sun dogs, very common in this situation. Lots of folks will see more of those today. And even up into Yellowstone Park, severe cold. Speaking of severe cold, you can really see it this morning on the satellite imagery. You can see this is an infrared. We don't always show you the infrared, but the infrared sees temperature. And what you're seeing here in Canada and into the Dakotas and into the Rockies and Plain states isn't cold clouds. Now, these are cold clouds that you see here in British Columbia and off the Pacific coast. But this shows you the extent and the severity of the cold. The satellite sees what usually are cold cloud tops, but really Arctic air on the ground. And you can see the leading edge of the Arctic front getting further and further south. This is remarkable. These are all of the winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings in effect for the nation. Really advisories for the nation. And most of them have to do with severe cold. Now, where you see the light blue and the dark blue, you're looking at severe cold, basically. Even, look at this, into the Central Valley of California, we have frost and freeze warnings in effect. But this is what's most remarkable. These are winter storm warnings in the pink. Winter storm warnings from far west Texas. And these winter storm warnings actually go into Florida. We'll show you focusing in a little bit more. So you can see that this is pretty much a nationwide cold wave going all the way to the coastal regions. Closer to home, we have extreme cold warnings. We have cold winter weather advisories. And then these high wind watches are in effect. These are the areas that are going to be hit by the wind and the blowing snow. Interstate 80 between Laramie and Rawlins. Late tonight, tomorrow into tomorrow night, tons of blowing snow and a real travel hazard there. And I-25 between Casper and Cheyenne. Just severe weather cold elsewhere. Look at Tallahassee, Florida. How often will you see a winter storm watch for Tallahassee, Florida tomorrow night and Wednesday? This is Louisiana and southern Mississippi. You are seeing this correctly. This is not something I generated in AI. This is real. A winter storm warning for the Gulf Coast. They're expecting 3 to 6 inches of snow for New Orleans. Hope they have the snow plows ready. Oh, wait, they don't have any. Now, as we take a look at the pattern, here's the Arctic wave extending deep into the southern parts of the United States, really from California to the Carolinas, from Texas to the Arctic Circle. Just a huge wave of cold. So this is about what we expected where we are now. And by tomorrow, notice the wave begins to show a more eastward push, and it's not as deep. So this is going to start to allow some moderation in temperatures to come in. But here's the next wave dropping south into Wednesday and Thursday. Temperature anomalies by 2 p.m. across the nation look like this. These are the wind chill values by 8 a.m. this morning across our part of the West. Look at those wind chills across Dakotas, across portions of Wyoming, Montana, up into Alberta and Saskatchewan and Manitoba, just bitter, bitter cold. These are the air temperatures just before the noon hour today. So this is a situation where the best you're going to do today are single digits, and many of you will not get above zero in those gray areas, or if you're near those gray areas. Temperature anomalies by tomorrow afternoon shift more the bitter cold into the Great Lakes, into the Gulf Coast region, but cold air even back into the Four Corners area, even into Southern California and Arizona and New Mexico, as you can see there. This is what the snowfall looks like between now and Wednesday. Well, in our neck of the woods, nothing to write home about. Some flurries and some areas of light snow with the next wave. Look at these lake effect snows, and then look at the deep south penetration of the snow and ice that'll be heading into that part of the United States. Freezing rain could be a big problem in the Florida Panhandle, in the southeast Georgia, southern Texas areas as well. This is the wind concern beginning late tonight, tomorrow, through tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. You can see the high winds forming along the front range of Colorado into southern Wyoming, through South Pass, into the wind gaps of Montana, near the Cody area. So when Arctic air leaves, it gets windy. As the cold air penetrates the southwestern United States, strong winds go into the desert. So it's going to get very windy down here in Arizona. Unfortunately, parts of Southern California again, even into Las Vegas. So even when the Arctic air leaves, it still is going to be causing problems. By Wednesday morning, the next wave drops south. Now, notice we don't have those darker colors as far west. Yes, it'll bring another shot of cold, but not severe cold. But there is going to be a little bit of moisture. So this is what could fall across the region with the next wave dropping south. Nothing that's heavy, but it will reinforce light snow cover that's already accumulating in the region. And there's your snowfall. And this is basically during the day Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Then we queue up the next wave. It's going to drop south out of British Columbia and then head south into the Rockies. Now, what is a bit different about this wave is it's showing signs of wanting to kind of split. What it will likely do is bring another slug of very cold Canadian air back into the western United States. Not bitter cold, but cold. And we may have a little bit of a Pacific connection now. As this storm stretches out a bit, it may bring some Pacific moisture over and on top of the colder air on the surface. We call this overrunning, where Pacific air goes over the colder air. And we'll have to watch that because this could end up being a weekend event of snow and colder temperatures coming back into the Rockies and plains. But confidence levels in how the system splits and acts once it comes out of Canada, we're going to need a day or two to kind of sort that out. But I think we've got something to contend with this weekend. And we're going to have things to contend with as long as this high pressure ridge is up into the Gulf of Alaska and off the west coast. And you can see all the gray and the blue up here. There's a lot of cold air still remaining, and it will want to come south again eventually. This is by Sunday morning. You can see that the low kind of cuts off and wants to sit over California. Like I said, we're just going to have to see whether or not this will actually come together like this or not. If it does, it actually could bring rain to California and parts of the southwestern United States, but it will also throw moisture up and on top of the colder air along the front range. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. So plenty to talk about. The good news is the worst of this Arctic wave will be easing tomorrow, but we still have plenty of weather opportunities coming that have a lot of winter in them. Have yourself a good Monday. Stay warm.